Dealerships want you trapped in a crossover loan. They convince buyers that modern sport utility vehicles offer superior safety and reliability. That is a marketing illusion. The truth is sitting abandoned on the back rows of used car lots. Before the crossover craze infected the market, engineers built massive, heavy sedans designed to cruise the American highway for decades. Today, we expose 5 forgotten sedans built like literal tanks that cost under $7,000. They lack modern screens, but they outlast everything on the road. Number 1 is a floating living room. Let us begin. Number 5. The 2006 to 2009 Mercury Milan 2.3. Ford completely killed the Mercury brand over a decade ago. Because the badge is defunct, average buyers assume the cars are orphans with 0 parts availability. The Milan sits in a bizarre middle ground. It is essentially a first-generation Ford Fusion, but it features upscale styling and a different grille. Buyers walk right past it, assuming a dead luxury brand means expensive repair bills. This brand stigma drops the resale value into the basement, allowing you to buy a pristine, garage-kept model for under $5,000. The mechanical reality proves this is a brilliant financial decision. Meet Brian. Brian is a regional medical equipment sales representative covering the Midwest. He drives 300 miles a day across flat, empty interstates. He needed a car that was cheap to buy and cheap to run. He bought a 2007 Mercury Milan with 70,000 miles. 4 years later, his odometer crossed 280,000 miles. He changes the oil in hotel parking lots. He drives through brutal snowstorms. The engine burns half a quart of oil a month, but it refuses to quit. He has only replaced the alternator and the brake pads. This sedan is built like a tank because it utilizes the 2.3-liter Duratec 4-cylinder engine. Ford partnered directly with Mazda to engineer this power plant. It features a lightweight aluminum block reinforced with heavy cast-iron cylinder sleeves. Those iron sleeves prevent the cylinder walls from warping or scoring under extreme heat. It breathes naturally and uses traditional port fuel injection, avoiding the carbon buildup problems that destroy modern direct injection engines. Ford paired this engine with the 5-speed automatic transmission. It avoids the catastrophic shuddering issues found in their later dual-clutch automatic gearboxes. The chassis uses a complex short-long arm front suspension, giving it the handling characteristics of a much more expensive sports sedan, while absorbing deep potholes without transferring the shock to the cabin. Your mandatory test drive checkpoint requires a visual inspection of the passenger side motor mount. Open the hood and look at the black rubber mount supporting the engine near the firewall. This specific mount is fluid-filled to dampen 4-cylinder vibrations. When the rubber tears from age, the hydraulic fluid leaks out, leaving a dark stain on the metal chassis. A torn mount causes the steering wheel to shake violently at traffic lights while the car is in gear. Use this visible leak to negotiate the asking price down, as replacing the mount takes a mechanic 20 minutes. To keep this dead brand running, you must perform a throttle body cleaning every 50,000 miles. The electronic throttle body sits right on top of the intake manifold. Carbon sludge builds up behind the throttle plate over time, restricting airflow at idle. Wiping the throttle bore clean with a rag, and solvent prevents the engine from stalling at stoplights and restores throttle response. A dead brand offers a massive discount, but what if you want a reliable Japanese sedan that the entire market forgot existed? The obscure import at number 4 is a commercial workhorse. Number 4. The 2006 to 2012 Mitsubishi Galant 2.4. Mitsubishi is barely surviving in the modern automotive market. During the mid-2000s, they focused all their engineering money on the high-performance Lancer Evolution, leaving the mid-size Galant to die a slow, ignored death. It looks generic. It features a cheap, plastic-heavy interior that rattles over bumps. Consumers seeking luxury or prestige ignored it entirely. Rental car agencies bought them in massive fleets because they were incredibly cheap. Because it looks boring and carries a weak brand reputation, you can find them everywhere for $4,000. The market ignores a mechanical tractor. Consider Maria. Maria works as an independent courier in humid southern Florida. She delivers legal documents across the state. Her job requires constant stop-and-go driving in gridlock traffic with the air conditioning blasting all day. She bought a retired rental Galant at a public auction. Her odometer currently reads 310,000 miles. The silver paint is peeling off the roof, and the interior door handles feel flimsy, but the drivetrain operates perfectly. The car simply starts and works every single day. The Galant earns its tank status through the legendary Ford G69 engine. This 2.4-liter 4-cylinder power plant is built on an ancient, heavy cast-iron block. Mitsubishi engineers prioritized endurance over horsepower. The engine operates at low stress and refuses to overheat. It uses a single overhead camshaft design, stripping away the complex variable valve timing systems that break on modern luxury cars. Mitsubishi bolted this iron block to a traditional 4-speed automatic transmission. It is an older design with widely spaced gears, but the internal clutch packs are thick and durable. It ignores modern fuel economy trends to deliver commercial-grade reliability. Before you hand over any cash, you must perform a visual inspection of the heater core lines. Look under the passenger side dashboard near the carpet. If you smell sweet maple syrup or see wet green stains on the floor mats, the heater core is leaking coolant into the cabin. Replacing a heater core requires removing the entire dashboard, which costs hundreds of dollars in labor. Walk away if the carpet is wet. The mandatory maintenance rule involves the timing belt. The 4G69 is an interference engine. It uses a rubber timing belt instead of a steel chain. You must replace this belt, the water pump, and the tensioner pulleys every 60,000 miles. If that rubber belt snaps while you're driving, the internal pistons will crash into the valves, destroying the engine instantly. Keep a fresh belt on the engine, and the iron block will outlast the vehicle chassis. Dealerships pray you never figure out that an older, boring sedan will outlive their brand new models. Hit the subscribe button so you never fall for their financing traps. We expose the engineering flaws they want to keep hidden. A generic rental car saves you money, but the highway cruiser at number 3 is a forgotten flagship. Number 3. The 2006 to 2011 Hyundai Azera 3.8. Nobody knows what the Hyundai Azera is. It sat awkwardly in the lineup between the economical Sonata and the premium Genesis. It was Hyundai's attempt to build a luxury flagship sedan before they had the brand reputation to pull it off. Buyers who wanted luxury bought a Lexus. Buyers who wanted a budget car bought a Civic. The Azera sat on dealership lots collecting dust. Because it lacks a prestigious badge and features soft, anonymous styling, the resale value plummeted. You can buy a fully loaded Azera with premium leather and upgraded audio for under $6,000. The lack of prestige hides an overbuilt highway missile. Talk to David. David is an airport taxi driver. He needed a vehicle with massive rear legroom to keep his clients comfortable and a giant trunk for luggage. He bought a 2008 Azera for cash. He drives angry travelers through severe city traffic and idles outside terminals for hours. His Azera crossed 340,000 miles this year. He reports the suspension still absorbs speed bumps smoothly, the transmission shifts perfectly, and the engine has never required an internal repair. The secret to this longevity is the 3.8-liter Lambda V6 engine. This is the exact engine architecture Hyundai used before they switched to the disastrous Theta direct injection engines that caught fire and ruined their reputation. The Lambda V6 uses a heavy-duty timing chain and traditional port fuel injection. It breathes cleanly and produces over 260 horsepower. The engine block is understressed and runs cool. Hyundai paired it with an in-house 5-speed automatic transmission that proved to be incredibly durable. The chassis is heavy, giving the car a planted, secure feel at high highway speeds. The interior of the Azera shames modern economy cars. When you pay $5,000 for a used car today, you expect basic cloth seats and manual climate controls. The Azera delivers heated leather seats, a power rear sunshade, and dual-zone climate control. Hyundai wanted to steal customers from Lexus, so they packed the cabin with sound-deadening materials and acoustic laminated glass. When you roll the windows up on the highway, the wind noise vanishes. It features a premium Infinity audio system that produces deep, clear bass without rattling the door panels. You get the isolation of an executive transport vehicle for the price of a commuter car. There is a catch to this luxury interior. You must inspect the dashboard. Hyundai used a specific soft-touch plastic on the upper dash that reacts poorly to intense ultraviolet light. If the previous owner parked the car outside in a hot climate for a decade, the dashboard will feature massive cracks across the passenger side. The structural integrity is fine, and the airbags deploy safely, but the cracks look terrible. Use a cracked dashboard as leverage. Tell the seller it ruins the interior aesthetic and demand $500 off the asking price. Throw a dash cover over it and enjoy the ride. During your test drive, find a flat stretch of road and accelerate aggressively from a dead stop. Listen closely to the front suspension. If you hear a loud, sharp clunk when the weight of the car shifts backward, the front lower control arm bushings are torn. The Azera is a heavy car, and the rubber suspension bushings wear out around 100,000 miles. It is a standard maintenance item, but the loud noise scares uneducated sellers into dropping the price drastically. To protect this engine, you must check the valve cover gaskets. Open the hood and look at the front cylinder bank. If you see dark oil weeping down the metal block directly onto the alternator, you must replace the valve cover gasket immediately. The oil drips into the copper windings of the alternator and shorts it out, leaving you stranded. The factory Dexcool coolant degrades these plastic gaskets over time, causing coolant to leak internally into the engine oil. You must ensure the upper and lower intake manifold gaskets have been replaced with upgraded aftermarket aluminum framed gaskets. Once those upgraded gaskets are installed, the only thing that will kill this engine is a lack of oil. You buy a LeSabre because you value your financial freedom more than your social status. It drinks cheap fuel, it costs pennies to insure, and replacement parts sit in every junkyard in the country. You can rebuild the entire front suspension for the cost of a single crossover headlight. It is a survival vehicle for the budget buyer. These 5 sedans prove that the automotive market is entirely driven by vanity. Buyers pay massive premiums for sleek designs, fragile touchscreens, and elevated seating positions, leaving the true mechanical warriors sitting ignored on used lots. The industry thrives on your ignorance. They want you to stop watching and go back to buying their fragile garbage. Do not give them the satisfaction. Click the video on your screen to keep protecting your wallet. We have more secrets to expose. I'll meet you on the other side. A new gasket costs $20 and prevents a massive electrical failure. To keep the 5-speed transmission shifting smoothly, you must ignore the concept of lifetime fluid. That is a myth created by marketing departments to lower the estimated cost of ownership on paper. You must drain and fill the transmission fluid every 50,000 miles. The Azera uses a traditional dipstick under the hood, making this job simple for a home mechanic. Keep the fluid clean, and the internal gears will never grind. A forgotten Korean luxury car offers incredible value, but what if you want genuine Japanese luxury from a brand that built a reputation for immortality? The rolling soap bar at number 2 commands respect. Number 2, the 2004 to 2006 Lexus S330. Car enthusiasts mock the Lexus ES series. They call it a glorified Toyota Camry. It features front-wheel drive, soft suspension tuning, and styling that looks like a melted bar of soap. It lacks the sharp handling of a rear-wheel drive sports sedan. It was designed specifically for older drivers who wanted a quiet, isolating ride to the golf course. Young buyers refuse to drive it because it carries an aggressive grandpa stigma. That stigma creates the ultimate budget tank. Meet Jessica. Jessica is a real estate agent. She drives clients to property showings across a massive county. She needed a car that looked professional but fit her tight budget. She bought a 2004 ES330 for $5,000. She treats the car terribly. She misses routine maintenance, drives over curbs, and parks it outside in the blazing sun. The odometer sits at 290,000 miles. The interior leather is incredibly thick and refuses to tear. The cabin is silent on the highway, and the engine pulls smoothly up every hill. The bulletproof nature of this car comes from the 3 MZFE engine. This 3.3-liter V6 is an engineering masterpiece. Lexus focused entirely on noise, vibration, and harshness tuning. The engine idles so smoothly you cannot feel it running through the steering wheel. It utilizes port fuel injection and heavy-duty internal bearings. Lexus paired it with an Aisin 5-speed automatic transmission. Aisin builds transmissions for commercial trucks, and this gearbox is vastly overbuilt for a mid-sized passenger car. The entire chassis is packed with thick acoustic foam and heavy sound-deadening material, isolating the driver from the outside world. The interior construction shames modern luxury cars. Modern vehicles use cheap piano black plastic that scratches. The ES uses authentic bird's-eye maple wood trim on the steering wheel and center console. It does not peel. The seats use thick leather. Furthermore, the climate control system uses a Denso air conditioning compressor. Denso builds commercial-grade cooling systems. The air conditioning in an old Lexus will freeze you out of the cabin faster than a brand new crossover. If you find a model equipped with the Mark Levinson premium audio system, you get studio sound. The only flaw involves the foam surrounds on the door speakers. They rot and tear after 15 years. You can buy a foam repair kit for $20 and glue them back together on your kitchen table, saving hundreds over buying new speakers. Underneath, Lexus kept the suspension geometry simple. German luxury rivals from this era used complex air suspensions that collapse and cost thousands to fix. The ES uses traditional steel coil springs and basic struts on all 4 corners. When the shocks wear out at 200,000 miles, a mechanic can swap all 4 for a few $100s. The car returns to its original cloud-like ride quality. You get luxury isolation without the luxury repair tax. There is a secret to keeping that Aisin transmission alive forever. Do not let a quick lube shop perform a high-pressure transmission flush. High pressure forces metal shavings into the delicate valve body and ruins the gearbox. Instead, perform a simple drain and fill. Drain 3 quarts out of the pan and pour 3 fresh quarts of Toyota fluid back in. Do this every 50,000 miles and the transmission shifts without hesitation. Your visual inspection requires testing the power steering system. Turn the car on and open the hood. Locate the power steering pump on the passenger side of the engine. If the pump is covered in thick, wet grime, the internal seals are blowing out. Lexus power steering pumps from this era leak directly onto the alternator below them. A leaking pump requires immediate replacement to save the electrical system. The single critical maintenance item on this Japanese tank is the timing belt. The V6 engine utilizes a rubber timing belt to sync the camshaft. one-offs. You must pay a professional mechanic to replace the timing belt, the water pump, and the tensioner bearings every 90,000 miles. Do not skip this service. If you keep a fresh belt on the engine and change the transmission fluid, the vehicle will outlast your desire to drive it. If you refuse to let the automotive industry drain your bank account, smash the like button right now. It forces the algorithm to share this hidden knowledge with other buyers and destroys the greedy dealership business model. A Japanese luxury sedan is a smart purchase, but what if you want an old-school American land yacht that survives absolute torture? The massive cruiser at number 1 is the undisputed champion. Number 1, the 2000 to 2005 Buick LeSabre. Nobody talks about the Buick LeSabre because it is the ultimate bingo hall chariot. It is a massive boat-like sedan that stretches out over 18 feet. It gets poor city fuel economy. The exterior design belongs in a museum. The suspension is so soft that the car physically leans into corners like a cruise ship. Modern buyers want tight handling and aggressive styling. The LeSabre offers a velour bench seat and a cassette player. It also offers mechanical immortality. Consider Marcus. Marcus is a broke college student who inherited his grandfather's 2003 LeSabre. Marcus treats the car like a rally vehicle. He does neutral drops in the dorm parking lot. He blasts over railroad tracks without touching the brakes. He ignores the temperature gauge. The LeSabre currently shows 320,000 miles. The fake wood interior trim is peeling, but the engine fires up on the first turn of the key every single time. It simply absorbs the abuse and asks for more. The secret advantage of the LeSabre is the original demographic. You're not buying a car abused by teenagers. You're buying a machine maintained by a retiree who kept paper records of every oil change in the glove box. These cars spent their lives parked inside garages. The thick velour seats refuse to rip. The heavy plastic dashboard does not crack under the sun. You're buying a time capsule. The LeSabre is built like a tank because it utilizes the legendary 3800 Series 2 V6 engine. This 3.8-liter engine is widely considered one of the greatest power plants General Motors ever produced. It uses a heavy cast iron engine block and a simple pushrod valve train. It produces massive low-end torque and never revs high enough to hurt itself. The engine bay is incredibly spacious, meaning mechanics can replace a starter or an alternator in minutes. General Motors bolted this engine to the 4T65E transmission. It is a heavy-duty 4-speed automatic designed to pull massive American sedans. It ignores modern fuel economy standards and relies on thick internal clutch packs that refuse to shatter under heavy load. The ride quality isolates you from the road. General Motors equipped many models with a rear air leveling suspension. When you load the trunk with heavy luggage, the air compressor engages and levels the chassis. You must inspect these rear air shocks before buying. Walk to the back of the car and look at the rear tires. If the bumper sags near the pavement, the rubber air bladders are leaking, or the compressor is dead. You can bypass this headache by replacing the air system with standard steel coil springs for $200. This fixes the suspension permanently. During your test drive, find a highway on-ramp and accelerate hard. Pay close attention to the transmission shifts between first and second gear. If the car jerks violently or hesitates during that specific shift, the pressure control solenoid inside the transmission is failing. This is a common issue with high-mileage models that were never serviced. You want a car that glides through the gears without hesitation. You must also check the power steering system. Start the car and turn the steering wheel from the far left to the far right while idling. If you hear a whining groan from the engine bay, the power steering pump is starving for fluid. It is a minor repair, but it gives you negotiating power against the seller. Your mandatory maintenance rule involves the intake manifold. General Motors foolishly used a plastic upper intake manifold and cheap plastic gaskets to route coolant near the engine block.